Hey guys, Jason at Hard Money Bankers with your Private Money Minute. We're talking a little bit about buying property sight on scene, meaning buying a property without ever getting inside. Now, obviously, it's typical that if you buy a property at an online auction or an offline auction, there could be a tenant or an occupant still living in there, or just maybe boarded up and locked and you're not allowed to gain access. Obviously, if you can figure out a way to gain access legally, you probably should to check out. Obviously, there's risks of not knowing what's going on in the inside. I will say, though, that there are a lot of opportunities, usually under market discounted opportunities on properties that you can't get access to because of the unknown, and a lot of investors are scared of them because they're not sure what's going to happen when they get inside. But if you know the area and you know construction pretty well, and you know the worst case scenario of what your maximum costs could be, assuming the worst, then it could be safe to say to bid on some of those. You know, most good investors, and why I'd like to think that as an investor you should stay locally and only invest locally, is you know the areas really, really well, and you know exactly what it could cost to fully renovate that. Worst case scenario, the property is a complete disaster and everything just needs to be redone. Maybe there's another property in that neighborhood that you've done. And you know what? If you're new to that area, maybe reach out to one of the neighbors and say, hey, Mr. Neighbor, Mrs. Neighbor, I am trying to buy this property next door to you to renovate it. Can I come into your house just so I can see, measure the square footage, look at their mechanicals, seeing what year the houses were built and things like that. Do as much due diligence as you can. Even if you can't get inside, it's great if you can, but do whatever due diligence you got to do to try to get your hands comfortable around that. Because keep in mind, if you're buying a property for $50,000, or I'm sorry, if you think your renovation costs are $50,000 and they end up being $60,000 or $70,000, that's the same thing. Going over budget like that is the same thing of buying the house for too much. It's so important to whatever your rehab budget is, because you can't figure out how much you can buy it for unless you know what your rehab budget is. So do whatever the heck you got to do. If you're scared of this, or if you're a newer investor, this may not be the best property for you, just because there's some unknowns. Okay, hopefully you found this helpful. If you buy properties sight unseen and you've had some positive experiences or negative experiences, share it with the community. Would love to hear. Share, like, comment, subscribe. This is Jason with your Private Money Minute.